Hey guys, welcome to Hope It Helps. And my guest on the show today is Miss Inas Abu Shashieh. Inas, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks. It's great actually to join you today, and I've been really looking forward to it.
Awesome. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So, Inas, me and you actually met at a conference a couple months ago, the HAD Consultants Conference, and I heard about your story and Takalam, and I loved what you guys are doing, creating an online platform for people to seek out professional help for like mental health, and especially nowadays, as you know, being in the field, given with what's happened with Corona and everything, this has become, the new hot topic. This is where everything is going. And I think the more services people have to get access to mental health, to bring awareness to it, is all the better. It's my field too, so I'm always a huge supporter of it. I know you've been working in project management for 20 years, in a couple of different forms. So I'm really excited to speak to you about how's that experience and moving into starting your own business and so on. But before we get into everything, Inas, just why don't you give all of us just a little bit of background about yourself, and we'll take it from there.
Oh, well, I'm a mom, I would say. This is what I start with. I have a mom for Yasmina. She's 8 years old, and Sanad, he's 11 months. Just came around the time that also Takalam was born, I would say. Takalam is my third baby. So it's been really a great, that's what's been driving me, I would say, on daily basis in the last year or so in my life. I graduated with computer science. I did great in school, university, but I've always been really on search of how to use my skills and my experience in a way to create a good impact, let's say, if not a really great positive impact in people's life and in our communities. So I've been always in that research. While I was studying, despite that my major was in computer science, I did actually study a lot about business planning and entrepreneurship. I mean, I remember like in my first year of university, it was like the first time that this, there was a time where everyone started speaking about entrepreneurship before there was no name for it. And then it came in, and it did attract my attention, actually, I have to say a lot, because I'm a kind of person who loves to go for challenges, learning new things. I got great support from the university team to join MIT class for business planning. So that was along happening with my university school studying in computer science. Since then, I've been actually, from the first day I finished school in university, I've been actually a full-time employee, worked in Jordan from the north to the south in different project management, different projects that all brings great memories into, great memories really. And that makes me really proud of being able to serve our communities there. And then I was reached out from a team here in Abu Dhabi to come to UAE, which was the greatest step, I would say, in my life. It wasn't easy to convince my dad back then, but I'm glad that he's been, Allah yarhamu, he's been of a great support, and he always believed in me and supported me. So I came in, and the journey of being in UAE, which started with working with an organization for youth projects, basically projects that targets youth development and empowerment. And then I joined the private sector in UAE. That's been like my last 10 years, which really helped me a lot to prepare me, I would say, for this step that I'm taking it now. This is not actually my first startup to try to do with Khawla, my partner in Takalam. I mean, I've known Khawla since the first time I came here to UAE, so it's like almost 12 years now. And we've been since then, I mean, we did have that kind of understanding, and we share the same energy, I would say. We've been always looking for an added value to bring into the market and into people's life. So we had few trials, but Takalam is, I believe, the one that's been making our dream come true, and it's happening. So it's really great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And thank you for sharing your story. I always like to, understand where my guests started their journey. How did they get to Dubai? So many people they're like, oh, I want to come to Dubai for a year or two, and then they're staying for like 10, 12 years, like
I
in your
came for
case, for
4
example.
months, actually. When I was reached out, they asked me for a consultancy job for 4 months, and then 4 months was renewed for another 4 months, and then 1 year, and then It is actually a great place to be at. The learnings has been really amazing from being here. And yeah, I'm also excited about raising my kids as well in UAE. So
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think one thing about the UAE that's attractive is, although it's small, it doesn't feel that way. There's so many opportunities. It's such a diverse, mix of people. People from all over the world are here. So you get exposed to a lot in a small space. So I totally understand why a lot of people like coming here and end up staying, actually. And I wanted to, okay, so, and I wanted to just start first of all with your experience in project management, because I think especially nowadays, if you want to start a business or whatever the case might be, it's very good to have an understanding of how, I believe project management gives you like an understanding of how do you manage things, how do things need to be structured and so on. So when I know each project is probably subjective and each company is different, but do you have a sort of framework that you like to follow? Or if someone is about to like manage a project, what advice would you give to them? Like, how should we be thinking about it? I think it'd be useful for people to understand, how you do something like that.
it's actually it's really great question. I mean, this comes though with practice. I mean, the more that you practice it, I got the PMI certificate as a PMP, and it's great. I mean, it did introduce me to a lot of terminology, I would say, rather than real, application of the tools. I mean, it
Sure.
comes to the experience you would get is actually by doing things. And when it comes to projects, I mean, I look at it, it's always been the tool for me to turn any idea into a reality. And I believe this is my strength in my work experience. And over the years, that with time, it became actually more and more stronger. So it all comes to having your SMART objectives like really clear. When we say SMART, they have to be measurable, specific. So it has to be really very much timely and all of that. So it has to be really these objectives really clear. And then breaking down the project into main components. Like it always gets with me like with you have main 4 or 5 areas maximum, right? So you break it down, and from that big thing to these smaller things, and then for each one, for each component, you do the initiation, execution, there's monitoring and evaluation that always should be there, and then closures, which always leads to another action or another beginning of another project or a follow-up. So that's how I've been doing it. I mean, I love working with Excel, MS projects. I mean, these are my tools where I just turn everything into, a list of actions. So it's always an action against the timeline, and with the RACI. I don't know if you're familiar with it, which is responsible, accountable, informed, and consulted person. So you clearly identify the roles of the people against each action. That's it. I mean, it's been working like really magic. I would say also simplifying it. Sometimes people, they tend to make it more challenging. Like plans, they should be easy to read for everyone, right? Like if I've done a project in construction, and if you look into my plan, it should be easy for you to read. Like it's something that people, it's just how to make it easier. So it is universal across all of your team members. So everyone, they know what the goals and what are they driving towards, and what the milestones that they would like to achieve. So yeah, I try to make it simple. I do spend time in planning. I mean, whenever there is no time for planning, I would panic. But also I've learned over time that, taking all of your energy and only just doing a market, let's say a business plan, is also sometimes, like I would say for some other projects that would have been really great if I just started implementing them. Rather than just putting all of my energy on only doing the business plan and the market research, which it did assume a lot of my energy. Sometimes just do it. That really works. It doesn't really. I tell people that you should not have any ground for your decision to start the thing. Of course, there should be an initial study and planning, but start doing it. Start implementing. That will be really of a great. A great step and a great support.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point about the not spending too much time. Obviously, like I said, planning and identifying how you're going to lay this out and what are the steps, and keeping it simple is very important. But I actually was speaking about this recently, that sometimes we put so much, we do one of two things. Either we put so much time, like you said, into planning and we do no execution. So we feel like we haven't made any progress, or we don't plan and we start, which can also, it's not that it can't work, but there's a better chance you're going to be successful if you can track where you're going and where you're starting. So when taking all this and coming to Takalam, so what I've felt in my experience now, trying to launch my business and so on, is even with a plan, sometimes you still get, I guess, what's the word? You can get overwhelmed because you're like, one day you're like, oh, I need to focus on social media. Oh, I need to build a website. Oh, I need to do all these kind of things. And when you start thinking about all these things at once, even when you have the plan in front of you, naturally, sometimes that happens.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So you start to feel overwhelmed and so on. So what advice do you give to people when they're going through something like that? How would you tell them, how would you, I guess, reframe it and tell them, just bring it back to like the basics? What are the steps that we should be thinking about?
I would say like execution plans. This is what really works. Like if you are in a project and you really want to do it, it's basically an execution where you list your actions and take them one at a time. Plans, they're always there to be changed. If there's a plan that doesn't really, is not easily to change or add on it, it's not really, it doesn't really make any sense. Plans are only there to give you direction. It is for you to help you when you're not sure what to do. You will have a place where you go to and it will help you to find the answer. That's it. It's just a reference for you, a guidance, a direction where people, when you are overwhelmed. That's why it is good to have these execution plans. However, every day comes with its own plan, right? Starting your day with your actions, things that needs to be done, things that can be done. I would say also, if people are really overwhelmed, if you're tired, if you feel like there is burnout, I would always suggest just taking 10 minutes, 15 minutes, meditation, exercising, doing something that you like, whatever it is. It will really help you to come back to it and start looking into things in a practical way, and you start doing it. So no matter how much overwhelmed things get, I always believe that you just take one of these and start doing it, instead of spending time of looking at it all, or being overwhelmed. Just start doing something, and that will help you doing the next thing, and then you will feel like things that you are achieving. Because once you feel like there's a progress, that kind of being overwhelmed, it cools down, so things becomes more easier and doable. I love the tools like Microsoft tools, to do, I use it, notes, I use it, the Outlook calendar, and now Calendly. I mean, there is a lot of tools that really helps you to manage your days and to manage and plan it. And it's okay for plans to change. It's okay. It happens all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I think you made a good point that plans are always there to change. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, take that break, have a reset, take a walk, whatever the case might be, do something you like, and then maybe start with what's the easiest thing you can accomplish now, just to get that ball rolling and build that momentum for you. And that will help you, like I said, get to the next part and the next part and the next part, right?
100%. I mean, and having a great team, I think it's also great. I mean, people, they work in different energies. And sometimes I'd say, like, with how things has been going with me and Khawla, like, if I'm in a slow motion, she's on speed. I mean, if she's on slow motion, I'm on speed. We're helping each other. It goes crazy when we are both on speed. Sometimes we clash, and that's also normal. It happens with teams and between everyone. So, but it's bring that joy of working with people that you love, actually, that they become like partners. I mean, it can be your colleague is a partner, your superior, your people who are reporting to you. If you create that kind of energy and synergy, I would say, between you and your team members, that also will make things more fun. It will help you to find your way out when things becomes really difficult, and it will, it will make the journey worthwhile, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree. And like I said, having a team around you, like I said, make them feel as partners. I think everyone needs that. Everyone, you can only go so far by yourself. When you have the right people around you, you can really expand your growth and get to where you're trying to go in a much faster, and probably have more success than you could do if you're just doing it by yourself. So no, I totally agree. So coming on to now Takalam, because this is what I really want to talk about, focus on today. So from what I understand, is the whole vision behind it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to provide a convenient way for people to access, counselors and like mental health services through the platform. But I also understand that the story behind it came from yours and Khawla's personal experiences with mental health and so on. And I always think that anyone who's entered the mental health field, that's where everyone has gone through something, and they understand how it feels to have been there. So they want to, create something to help other people not feel that way as well. So could you just walk us through what was your experience in the past, maybe with mental health, and why did you realize that this is something that you were so passionate about that you wanted to help others with?
Yeah, I mean, for Khawla, actually, she came to me with this thing like, Inas, I've been through a mental health challenge. I mean, post the delivery of her baby, I mean, things were a bit tough, but it helped her to realize the importance of this. And as she was actually based in the DC at that time, she was aware of different solutions that they are available globally, but that actually didn't reflect so much understanding of our culture and our needs. So it wasn't very much, of a great solution and accessible even for her. So we had that discussion, and actually it happened to me, it came across to me after I lost my dad, which has been, I mean, my dad is actually everything for me. He's been my inspiration, my guidance, my support, my #1 fan, everything, and that was like a turning point in my life. I mean, I believe that my eyes did change. The way I see things has been completely changing. And I would say there is a great support and from family and friends. Alhamdulillah, God has been always guiding me through this. Yet, when you go through some tough times, it just helped me to realize the importance of mental health. And that was my discussion with Khawla. So when it came across, it did make really sense to me, because when sometimes you feel like khalas, you cannot breathe, you lose your breath. I mean, these attacks that happens and all of that, like you feel like really a proper support is much needed, and actually a clinical one that even I believe it can be of a great help. So it did make sense to us. We understand that all happened actually pre-COVID, right? So
Okay.
we wanted to, all of this was really pre-COVID. There were some studies even about the depression rates and anxiety rates in UAE and in the region, and they are higher than the average globally. So we were like shocked, yeah. So there is the need is there. Everyone knows about it. The stigma is still there, though, right? So even now with the COVID, people, they understand the importance of mental health and mental care support, but they are not taking the first action towards it, right? It's taking the first step is still taking people time. There is a lot of awareness, discussion. Everyone says, yes, I need it, but how many of us actually is doing something towards their mental health care and mental well-being care? Is I would say some started, but still there is a lot of work that needs to be done to help people take that very much first step. Because our approach in Takalam is, we are not a clinic, right? We are there to provide mental health support, right? There we have counselors, we have some psychiatrists, psychologists, mental health therapists, all of them, they're there. I mean, we are very much selective with our approach. We look at them as our partners in this. So we are selective. However, what is really important is to get people understand what is how much, and make it very much simple for them to start taking that first step and start their journey with the mental health. That's very much important, right? We make it simple. We are confident about our team. We're confident about our solution. So that's what we've been really after. Once we realized the need, which is it was reflected for us in our daily life. I mean, we've seen it as people around us. We studied it, like initial study about market research. It was proven. But then what's the solution? And I believe we are on a daily mission to make this solution more and more convenient, accessible, and affordable. And our work on this will not stop. I will not tell you at any point, khalas, we've done it. There should be, I mean, it's work in progress, and every day comes with its learnings, but we are, I would say, proud of what we have achieved so far. especially that as we did come across this pre-COVID. I mean, it was for people. Something like when you speak about it, and we had few discussions, like it's really of a big taboo. I would say that COVID, if it did anything good, it was the awareness that it did on, it did surface out all of the issues. Like if anyone was having OCD, like initial, I mean, with the COVID, it
Yeah.
did pick up, right? If any anxiety, it did. I mean, this is what I'm seeing it around. It's like, it's crazy how it did bring it all out. But I believe as well, it is great if people, they start taking the action, they understand the importance of this, and they start taking care of it. Mental well-being is just like physical well-being. It's like if you are going to the gym to take care of your body, you really need to take care of the brain in that body, right? And that is taking care of that body, your brain. So it is, it doesn't always also require having an issue or a challenge in your mental health to start actually receiving mental health care. This is how we're trying to normalize it. A lot that needs to be done to make that happen. Especially that, as mentioned by WHO and the United Nations, that this is the next pandemic, right? Mental health crisis. And for that, we cannot wear masks. It will not help. We need to be way more ready for this. Like, a lot needs to be done. So it really makes us happy to see a lot of initiatives, a lot of other businesses, a lot of other projects that they are happening towards this. And I believe, I really look forward to seeing how this will actually convert or translate into actions and plans for the users and our communities, them starting taking actions towards their mental health and mental care.
Yeah, so many points that I agree with you on. First of all, so I've recently been doing research myself about what I had an idea being in the field, but I wanted to get an idea of like actual statistics about UAE and what's the mental health perspective over here. And I was shocked that, like you said, so before COVID in 2019, the government said that this is the mental health was one of the top illnesses in the UAE. And now, given everything that's happened, I can imagine it has just skyrocketed since. And I was looking at some statistics that in the UAE, mental health issues are higher across the board compared to the global average in terms of burnout, in terms of feeling helpless, and in terms of, how it affects families. So there's a huge demand for this, and there's a huge need for it, especially like in the UAE and in the region. But like you said, and there's something I wanted to touch on with you because I've never understood the answer to this. I have an idea, but I'm curious to see what you think. There's still, especially as Arabs, there's always been this stigma with mental health, and I just struggle to understand where does it come from and why is it still there? It's because we've reached a point, like I see COVID, like you said, COVID in a way, obviously it's a terrible thing and it's a pandemic and so on, and it's affected millions of people. But at the same time, especially particularly for mental health, I look at it as a blessing in disguise, because if you're trying to avoid it before, you can't anymore because you've experienced it. You've experienced it yourself. You know what I mean? So I struggle to understand how, even with COVID and everything that's happened and what we're going through, how is there still a stigma? I don't understand. So where does it come from and why do you think it's still there?
I have to be, I think also you would agree that stigma is global. Like,
yeah, of course.
It is still of taboo for us here. Only this year they started actually raising awareness around it, or let's say last year, so, but in other countries they've been working on it for how many ages? So that's why you would see progress in some other countries compared to the Arab countries. And I would say even in the Arab, not all of the Arab countries, even they're working on it. They look at it as a luxury topic, first world problem. So it is. This is how it's been. I mean, the stigma is there. It comes with the mental stigma comes with the mental healthcare and mental issues, because I believe they tend to feel like they are in control of their brain. Like once you come across to them and saying like, no, I'm not in control of it, or there's something that's happening without my control or my awareness or my full control on it, they would be very much offended. And this is what's happening. And that's why stigma is an issue here and in the West and everywhere. Again, they've been working on it for some time, here still yet. And what also let's be also honest about it. What also makes it a bit of an edgy topic here is people, they attach this with the belief that there's God and with their religion backgrounds, and like they would go read Quran if you feel like you're in a panic attack and things will be high, which is I believe, and I come with a strong religion background. I know how much how my prayers, they should be my meditation, and how praying 5 times is actually a way for me to meditate and disconnect, and it starts from all of that. So I'm not against that, but we have to be realistic. We have to understand the logic behind the mental health issues and the chemicals that your brain starts producing when you're actually going through an anxiety or ACD. I mean, there is some logic, and even our religion is very much pro being logical, and you normalize things, and you research, and go for science, and do your work, do your part of solving the problem, and then leave it to God to help you and support you. But you need to do your part first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people are missing. It. There is a lot of miscommunication. Let's say, I mean, this is how we've been raised. I would say, if we would generalize it. I'm glad though that our generation, the younger generation, they are more aware of the importance of the topic. They understand it. They are open, I would say, to listen, to listen at least. We need, again, to translate that from listening and being open to start taking an action, which is a challenge. It is the greatest challenge. It is.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you that, because especially over I've had so many people on the podcast, doctors, therapists, mental health professionals, that we've all spoken about. Everyone talks about breaking the stigma, mental health awareness, but each person, no matter who I've spoken to, says exactly what you said. It's that last point is, okay, now guys, let's be fair. Okay, more awareness is great, cool. But the awareness is now there. It's the action, and that is the sticking point. No matter who I've spoken to, that is a sticking point that everyone's like, there's a lot of good ideas.
On people, I would say our systems in our countries is not very much ready for this. Insurance companies, they don't cover this, right?
True.
Employers. I mean, we are happy that some of the employers, that they have approached us, and they understand that there is a return of investment if you really invest in your employees' mental health. But these are few employers, international organizations. It's not like the trend and what's happening. So how much our systems and our governance actually is taking care of this. There's something that needs to be done from that side to support the people. I mean, everyone is going through an economic crisis as much as they're going into mental health crisis. Sure. Mental health services are expensive, right? We are trying through the online support and the online counseling to make it more affordable, and that's one way of overcoming this. But still, it's a service that needs to be, people, they need to pay for it, and they're not used to pay for this. Like, what is that? Let me go to my doctor for my heart issues, and that's more important than if I can afford it and it will be paid by insurance. But what to go and pay from my own pocket without insurance covering or anyone to help me pay for the mental? Maybe despite that, anxiety and depression might be the cause of my heart issues, right? I mean, we all understand, and it is not of a secret anymore, that how much mental health issues, they do actually lead to serious physical issues. So even for insurance companies, it makes sense to offer this to your, even commercially, it makes sense. It will help people, and it will save you from people going for more severe issues if they are provided with mental health and mental health care. So that kind and that part of the system needs to really come around. And that's when I say that everyone needs to really work around it. We know that there is a pandemic coming. There is a crisis on its way. Already it's happening. And I wonder how much actually we are working on it together to make our solutions affordable and convenient.
Yeah, I think you made a fantastic point about, and something that I didn't consider, which is the systems that are currently in place. It's not just about the people wanting it. It's about, do we have the right infrastructure in place to support tackling this the mental health pandemic that's coming our way, or that we're already in. And it's funny you said that, because I was doing research recently, and I found that post-COVID now, uh, a lot of businesses in the UAE say that now mental health is a big priority for them, given that everything that's happened. But but curious from the employee's perspective, but it was said 76% of employees now expect their companies to offer them some type of mental health service, or to give them to have either programs or to have some insurance for them as part of the health insurance, like you were talking about, that covers some sessions regarding mental health. So now it's not just a nice to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an urgent.
it's an urgency, exactly. But like you said also, that even though there is that, at the moment, currently only about 29% of companies are offering those kind of services. And like you said, they're usually the really big, international organizations who in other parts of the world have these processes in place already. So now they're just bringing it over here. But I'm curious for you with Takalam, and when you're going and when you're speaking to employers and so on, what have you found to be, what's the feedback usually with what you guys are offering them? Because I feel that there's probably still some challenges there. Even if I showed you the dollar cost, like if you invest, let's say 10 dirhams into this, it'll save you like 30 dirhams in your productivity of your employee further down the line. Because I've been there too. A couple of years ago at work, I was struggling with my mental health. We had a loss in the family, and so many other things were going on. And I couldn't perform at 100%. It's just nothing I can do, but that's life. Sometimes that's going to happen. So when speaking to employers, what do you find to be some of the challenges that you're still facing, and how is the perception from their side nowadays? What would you say?
I'll tell you, first, I would say that having Takalam starting from UAE, we are very lucky again, being in this country and starting from here. There's discussions from the leadership. I mean, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed had a clear statement about the importance of mental health care and how they need to overcome the stigma around it. So it is like that kind of leadership and the direction has been set. So people, they know that, and the people here in this country, they have a trust in their leadership, right? So they know that they have to follow that and try to start taking action towards it. So this is any conversation that we start having it. Like now speaking about it, it's becoming a bit easier. So we're confident going and talking with the employers, and we know that they know the importance of this. There is no argument about the importance. Now, what we have been trying to do from our end is to make it really as attractive for the employers. We give them tools where it will be easy for them to monitor this and offer it for their employees. So we have an interface dedicated for these organizations and these employers, just to attract their attention, help them and support them to actually support their employees. We try to be as really flexible as we are. Some of them, they say like, just give us 15 minutes for free for my employees, 30 minutes, and they want us to cover that. And we always try to do our best. We are in continuous discussions with our counselors, looking for discount rates, and if they can offer free sessions for some of the employees, just to help them to take their first step towards mental health. However, when you have the employers working with and offering this to their employees, the employees, they always tend to have an issue about the privacy, and how scary it is that you feel like you're exposed. Like that's another barrier you would put into anyone, like to be exposed to my employer, and that's why I believe Takalam comes with a great solution for these employers, because it's an online platform. We don't save any medical records, any calls, nothing. It's all there for instant support. Users, they can choose to be anonymous, which has been also of a great advantage. So they just log in, do that session, and feel free. So that's how we're trying to make it from our end simple, we convenient in so many different aspects for the employees as well as for the employers. So initiating discussions has been actually, I would say, easy for us. Some employers have approached us, which has been felt really great, I believe this is the direction of the country. It is globally as well. But again, we try from our end to make that first step easy as much as we can. So,
yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure, like you said, privacy would definitely be an issue, but the fact that you can respond anonymously, the employee gets, some insight into not necessarily you, but like what's overall mental well-being of the organization. So that's what they're looking for. And the employee can get the support that they need. So it's a win-win. So it's win-win from that
And
perspective.
that's why, again, employers, they have to be open with this, but they need to allow the privacy, not really to dig into the subject, because that's the only way for you to achieve the impact that you're looking for from offering this mental health care. So a balance of that, just to give them initial statistics, the number of users, the number of sessions that has been conducted. That's it. More of a statistical info rather than any details about the service.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious from your side. Obviously, like we said, we don't know the details, but I'm curious if you have any data around what has been the most common thing or issue that people have looked to use Takalam for. Like, is it for depression? Is it for burnout? Is it for anxiety? Do you guys have those numbers on what has been the most common thing that people seem to be going through? Because someone asked me this recently, so I'm curious to see if you guys had data regarding that.
Yeah, I mean, what's been coming out, I mean, as much as we keep these tools to be optional for our users. So there's like a form that the counselors and the user, they just fill it up post the session just to indicate what is that issue, because it will be really helps us to make sure that we cater for this and we have that is available for them. So the data that we have been getting out, it was more about anxiety. I mean, that's been really pushing it, and it summarizes a lot, like depression and stress and burnout comes and results into that. But this is how it's been classified by the counselors, I would say. So basically, we are trying to gather data. We're still in the initial phase, and we keep that very much optional, and because we care about the privacy.
Yeah, but that's very interesting that it is anxiety that seems to be the most common thing, because that's what I found as well in the work that I do. Yeah, it seems that. And I was never aware of that, to be honest.
My friend, COVID, like
COVID. Yeah. Exactly.
It starts with anxiety, but then it ends up with other things.
Exactly. It just picks up from there on. You're 100% right. And I wanted to ask you, Inas, because this is something I've read about recently, and it's about and it talks about. So I was trying to figure out why, as we were saying before, why does UAE have higher numbers across the board compared to other places? And there's this culture here, this work culture about being, in quotation, always on. So you're expected to work, overtime, expected to work weekends. You are connected to your phone all the time. A client can message you at 11 p.m. on a Friday night, and he wants something like. And I think there's a culture here that is, like, we talked about the systems, but I think there's also, besides that, there's a work culture here that has become the norm, which is pushing all this and, making it, just emphasizing everything and adding to the mental health challenges that people are going through. So how do we start? I know it's very easy to say, oh, we should do this, we should do that, but it's a complete culture shift that needs to happen in order to start to help address these problems with mental health, because this is what's causing a lot of it as well. So what do you think are some of the things that we could do, or like in the future, what do we have to do to start like changing this perspective and this work culture that, it's just about work, no rest, you should be working anytime, you should be available anytime, and you don't get any time to, reset, recharge, take care of my mental health, take care of, everything else you have going on in your life.
Well, the bad news that this is even getting worse, right?
With work from home, right?
Work from home, it's even getting really worse. I mean, I can't see like really a good light towards this if we want to be realistic. I mean, employers, they are under pressure more to face the economic challenges that they are going through. Cuts in budgets, everything, like it's across the world, everywhere. And I mean, even employers, they're going through these challenges as well themselves. So the stress is from every single corner. Like if I would tell you that, people, they need to understand how to deal with this, and maybe that would be the only solution, is to accept that this is the way forward, to be honest. Like to fight it, I don't think there is a room to fight this. I mean, it's sad. I mean, I'm a mom, like, and I've been really working for some good time, and I have to say, like, I've been lucky with my employers. now doing even your own business, it's another level of working around the clock, right? It doesn't stop. On weekends, I mean, I was like, I always been on call for my job, always ready for call. But when you're on your own journey and you're starting your job, you are around the clock. So it's about, however, this is what I'm telling myself even now, like it's on you how to deal with this and how to try to put some kind of boundaries, like even because boundaries, if they are not met, you will be also frustrated, right? Because that's it. Like this is what happened with me some other day. Like I wanted this weekend just to focus on the kids, just give them 2 days of my life, right? That way they are my full, complete attention. That's it. Boundaries around that weekend. This is it. And then I couldn't. And I was so much frustrated and so much stressed out. So I think we need to be aware that this is a market need. There's economic crisis as well. Employers are under that attention and under that stress as well. Budget cuts across every unit and every organization. We need to learn how to take it easy on ourselves. We need to implement mental health care routine in our life so we can deal with this, right? Rather than just fighting it and say like, they called me at 8 and just I spend my days complaining about it. But because I really encourage people, it doesn't really justify for these actions. It doesn't really justify that people, they need to be stressed out and working around the clock. It doesn't say that this is actually of a good return for employers who are facing challenges. It's not the smartest solution, but what I believe that we need to not waste our energy just complaining around it. Let's try to take some actions where we are taking good care about our mental health care, right? We establish that routine of my a weekly, every 2 weeks session, meditation, make sure that I'm exercising, eat well. I mean, let's do these things that they are within your own capacity, right? As a human, to make you be stronger towards all of this stress that is coming from every single corner. I mean, God knows how this COVID situation will take time for it to be resolved. And we're doing here good in other countries, it's going to take longer. So, and I mean, no matter how you interact, I mean, crises and surprises can always happen. So with time, this is what I'm trying to tell myself, it's just, you need to be equipped with your tools so they make you stronger, more calmer. So how how to deal with the stress, how to best deal with that call when it comes not on its time. And so instead of just saying, and you don't answer the call, you can maybe answer or send a message calmly without, or maybe take the call and not being emotionally affected. That's the key, right? Sometimes we take these calls and we're working, but we're just, and it's burning us from the inside. Sorry for that voice. Maybe it's not great on a podcast.
No, it's perfect voice. Exactly. The emotion.
But that's it. That's the emotion, right? You're just so frustrated. But at least we need to learn how to make a decision about what you want to do. Are you going to take that call? You're going to send a message? You're going to ignore it? Either, whatever you choose as a person, okay, whatever suits you at that time, at that moment, we need to learn how to take that easy from the inside as well, So it's not only about taking the action, it's just us being calm and accepting. Acceptance is very much important at this stage.
No, 100%. And I think you made a very good point that given how everything has happened and what the future of things are looking like, it doesn't look like there's a great light at the end of the tunnel for all this, like always on culture. If anything, it's just getting worse. So, and that's something you can't.
But it is a fact. This year.
Yeah. That's.
I mean, we're already in April. Like it's 11th of April. Like, right?
I know.
It's crazy. And I wonder how many of us have achieved their targets for the first quarter, and that will even get worse and worse for the employers. It's on a race.
Yeah.
So let's see how they go. But it is sad. It is sad. But we can be ready and we can be stronger on how to deal with this.
Exactly. Like you said, build yourself, get the right the toolkit for yourself. So if you can't control, all that stress and everything that's going to happen, at least you can control your mind, your perspective. So when those situations come up, you're protecting yourself in the best way against whatever's going to come your way. So I think that's great advice for everyone.
And I mean, and let's take it easy on each other. It's like, I mean, some people, they left their jobs. Some people, they were forced to leave the job. Some people, they are worried about their status and what will be the next month. So I mean, if everyone around us can be like really kind, supportive of whatever decision that we take. I mean, I had to let my full-time job go like very much recently, and for that, I mean, it just really draws a big smile on my face when people, they would say like, "Great, I'm happy for you," and then some, "Oh, are you sure this is not the wrong time? This is not the best time." Guys, I already took the decision, right? Just some kind of support, encouragement, calm. Let's try to just be positive. It all comes from caring and love perspective, but it's we really need to be kinder to each other. That's also something that maybe we can do at this time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I especially, and if there's any time to be kinder to each other, I think now is the time. So I 100% agree with you. Inas, I just have two last questions for you, and these are questions that I ask all my guests. So first of all, looking back at your career, everything you've accomplished in your life, even on a personal level, what would you say you're most proud of for yourself?
Oh, I would say Takalam. Takalam, it's been really the highlight, like in terms of career wise, right? That's the highlight. Whenever I make my kids smile, it's just, you know, my favorite moment of my life. Like every time I achieve this, and especially for a working mom. Only last night, actually, I did have a breakdown and I was crying for my daughter. I was like telling her, "I'm sorry, I couldn't give you what you wanted this weekend." So, but she was like, "Mom, you don't do this." It's like, I know, but it's okay, it happens. And now I feel better and blah, blah. So, I mean, it is every time. That's why every time I manage to make them really happy and smile and we have that quality time is a great achievement, to be honest, like, because this is how hard it is becoming. Um, I hope that I've been a grateful daughter. I mean, the moments of when my dad was proud of me, this is what it also encourages me and comforts me with the dealing with the fact that he's not here in this world anymore. I have to say there are like really quite good amount of great memories and proud moments, and I can't wait to see more and celebrate more with my kids.
Inshallah, I'm sure there's many more to come. And I love that. That's what, you know, I love that message. It's fantastic. And for the last question, Inas, I ask everyone, what is the message you'd like everyone to take home with them today?
Take it easy, really. I mean, just really take it easy. And let's accept, deal with it, try, smile, take it easy on each other's, and everything will be okay. I mean, we will come through this as long as we try and we're kind. Kindness is a key. It will be okay.
I couldn't have said it any better or simpler myself. I think that's the perfect way to round off a fantastic recording. You know, so I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've loved this conversation. I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing with Takalam. You know, anything that is supporting people, helping them get access to mental health, you know, from a corporate perspective, from a personal perspective, whatever it might be, I fully support. And I've taken a look at the platform. It's super easy, it's intuitive, and you guys done a great job. And Mabruk, I know you guys recently won an award for it as well. So that's amazing. And I'm sure there's many more things to come. And thank you so much for coming on the show. I had a great time.
Thank you, Khaled. I really appreciate it. Just make sure you guys come across to takalamhere.com, right?
Of course, for sure. Guys, to everyone listening, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And as always, hope it helps. Peace.